All right, welcome everybody. Today we have a panel of people all related to the construction trades. So if you are interested, or maybe if you don't know that much about what's all available in the construction industry, today's your day to learn all about it. So welcome panelists. If we could just get a start by introducing yourself, your name, your company, and then your position or title, please. And then we can start with Joe.
My name is Joe Mangelsdorf. I'm the owner of Carlson Plumbing here in Racine.
Wonderful. And Brad?
My name is Brad Kalsick. I'm the business representative and training coordinator for Sheet Metal Workers Local 18 in Racine, Kenosha, and Walworth.
All right, and then John.
Good morning, everyone. My name is John Anderson. I am the Southeast Region Director for WRTP Big Step. We're an organization that helps individuals get into registered apprenticeships at no cost. So we're here to help.
Thank you. And is Kevin and Ricardo there yet? Just checking before we move on. I don't see them. So we'll just move on to the next question then. So our first question is, what skills and education are needed in your specific career area?
You want just anybody to jump in?
Yeah, we can start with the same order if you want. You can start us off.
I'll let Joe go.
Okay. As far as plumbing goes, there's going to be a lot of math, customer relation, skills, to be able to talk with people, problem solving, I think you'll probably hear a lot of the rest of the trades talk about that too. But that's a big part of it. We want someone that's, hands-on, that can kind of understand and, try to figure out stuff, as they're being taught to do it, but, to be able to start working on their own, to grasp it and take off with it.
All right, thanks. And Brad?
Yeah, I think Joe hit it on the head there. There's going to be a lot of math involved with it. If math isn't one of your strong suits, I wouldn't be scared of it. If you're going to serve an apprenticeship, you're going to be taught all the skills that you need with that. And a lot of it's going to be on the job training, but a lot of it's, a good work ethic. You have to be on time and just be ready to work. Don't be afraid to get your hands dirty. There's going to be days where you go home where you're going to have to basically throw your clothes in the wash machine right away. And there's going to be other days where you walk out and you might be spotless. It just depends on the type of work you're doing that day.
Well, in order to pursue an apprenticeship, you only have to be 18 or older, finish high school. So that's important. You need your proof of graduation. It's very advisable to get your driver's license because working in the trades means moving around a lot. And as Brad and Joe expressed, math is very important, but part of what the Big Step program does is if you needed help with your math to try to apply for an apprenticeship program, that's something, among other things, we would help you to improve upon.
Thanks. And I like that some of you mentioned that apprenticeship right out of high schools, because I think that's what makes these careers unique compared to some of the other careers we've heard about this week, is that you do get to start working and getting paid for your training right away. Does anyone want to kind of follow up on a little bit more about that? Because I think that's usually of interest to students when it comes to money and debt versus earning money right away.
Yeah, we can. With the apprenticeship, each trade is going to be a little bit different as far as that goes, but I know particularly with our apprenticeship, at the end of it, it's a 5-year apprenticeship. You're going to work the entire time. During your day schooling, you're actually going to get paid for the 8 hours that you're in school. And at the end of it, if you do everything right with it, you basically have a free education. You're not going to owe any money towards it. You're not going to have student debt. Everything is going to be paid for on your behalf. The only requirements is that you make the classes that you're supposed to and that you need to pass with a C or better, and you get fully reimbursed for your schooling.
So as far as the plumbing works, very similar to the sheet metal side. It's a 5-year apprenticeship, paid day school. You'll have night school. That's, they call it unpaid related instruction that you'll be doing at night. But a lot of the materials, everything like that, everything's covered. As far as the plumbing portion for ours, at the end of the 5 years, there is a state test to get your journeyman license to be a licensed plumber. So that is something that you have to pass when you're done to become a journeyman, and kind of top out in the, the pay scale. And then as far as our heating and, pipe fitting side, also a 5-year apprenticeship as well. There are some STAR exams and, some different exams with that. I'm not as familiar with the pipe fitting side, but can speak a little more on the plumbing side. So, but very similar to what Brad was talking about with for Local 18.
So I just reiterate that with an apprenticeship, it's immediate full-time employment with a sponsored employer, and that's all without the need for student loans. When you complete your apprenticeship, as my friend stated, it's between 3 to 5 years, depending on which trade you pick. But at the end of your apprentice period, when you become a journey level worker, you should be earning between $60,000 and $70,000 per year, and hopefully doing something that you really love and enjoy.
Great, thank you for providing more of that information. So a little bit more about your personal stories then. What was your career pathway from high school to where you are now?
So mine basically, I started my apprenticeship right out of high school, about halfway through my senior year. I took the aptitude tests, got everything ready. So as soon as I graduated, I was on the list for an apprenticeship. And at that point, we weren't really allowed to go knock on doors. So I was placed with a company that ended up, they were out of Milwaukee, had work in our area. So basically went through my plumbing apprenticeship. For the first couple of years with them, they got slow. So I moved to another contractor, ended up finishing out, getting my master's, and then 15 years later, I ended up purchasing the company that I worked for as an apprentice.
Yeah, mine was a little different. I didn't start directly out of high school. I actually worked on a restaurant for like 5-6 years before I actually got into sheet metal. And getting into it, I had no idea what sheet metal even was at the time. I just remember my neighbor that lived across from us. Yeah, he worked all kinds of hours, came home dirty, but growing up, I watched how he bought this house, had a family of 4. All of a sudden, he's putting an addition on this house. All of a sudden, he sells this house, builds a new one, like a very nice new house. I'm like, well, maybe I should talk to him a little bit and see what they have. And sure enough, he got me in at Martin Peterson Company as a pre-apprentice, and I worked my way into the apprenticeship. And after I turned out as an apprentice, I became journeyman, started running jobs as a foreman, and eventually I ran for the position that I'm in right now as the business agent for Local 18.
Well, my story is a little different than most people's. In school, I really enjoyed science and math and auto repair, technical things, working with my hands. And so when I graduated high school, though, I really loved music. And so I told my parents, I'm going to be a rock musician. And they said, no, you're not. You're going to go to college. And I was like, oh, man, more school. So we kind of met in the middle, and I landed on an apprenticeship. And so I became a lineman. I did fiber optic, cable, CATV, different things, and I really enjoyed that work. And subsequently, someone noticed me and asked me if I wanted to help become an apprenticeship coordinator and help get more people into the trades. And I said, sure, why not? That sounds like almost as exciting as being out there climbing the poles and rigging up equipment.
Thanks. And then Ricardo, I think you're on mute because we can't hear you, but welcome. Although it doesn't say you're on mute. I don't know if the sound is off. No problem.
All right, how about now?
Yep, much better. So if you could explain your name and company and position, and then if you caught on of just like your pathway to how you got there.
Correct. Again, I apologize. I was sent to the actual something started at 9. So, but Ricardo Sanchez with the IUPAT, or the Painters and Drywallers Union. So, International Painters and Allied Trades. We represent painters, drywallers, and glazers. If you're unfamiliar with glazers, they actually do the commercial glass in like storefronts, all the glass you see at the malls or grocery stores, all the way up to the high-rise buildings that you see in downtown. I have currently 18 years of experience. I had 14 or 15 years of experience out in the field painting. I did an apprenticeship all the way up, apprenticeship journeyman superintendent, and I made my way all the way up to project manager before joining District Council 7 here in Big Bend. My story, basically, I did go to college. I came out and I was the oldest grandchild, so I had to set the example. I went to college for about 3 semesters, and my uncle actually owned in Milwaukee here, one of our more predominant painting companies, Sanchez Painting, and his company was growing exponentially. So he asked me to basically, if school wasn't for me, that this would be a good option. And that's what I did. I followed it, took my apprenticeship to actually know what I was talking about if I was going to one day come into the office or help out. And so that's exactly what I did. And I never looked back, and it was probably the best decision for me. I can honestly say that out of probably my 10 closest friends that have a college education, maybe 1 or 2 of them make more than me, and that's because they're dentists and doctors. Otherwise, my wage and my living is very well. I think it's a very good thing. These are things, especially within union trades, that it's like kind of like having a driver's license, if you will. If you decide to travel anywhere else in the States, you don't really have to renegotiate your wages or anything. You can actually go into your union hall, and whatever their journeyman wage is, you automatically get that top wage. So I think that's a huge plus for people who may want to get out of the state of Wisconsin or just travel around a little bit. You don't really have to negotiate for a lesser rate. But with that being said, rates are different in every state. So at least you'll be offered the best rate that they're giving in that state for cost of living wise. Our apprenticeship is a 4-year apprenticeship program. I don't know if anybody else stated it, but I think Wisconsin's one of like only 2 states that actually pays their apprentices to go to school. So for instance, for our program, basically it's 3 semesters of school, like a college setting. September to December, January to May, and then September to December again. You would come to school 1 day a week, which would be Fridays. So basically you work on the job Monday through Thursday, and then you come to school for 8 hours on Friday, and you do get paid by your employer for those 8 hours of school. That was a lot. Is there anything else? Any particular questions that I might have missed?
No, that's good. That was the main questions we talked about so far. So you're jumping right in, and thank you for that information. I think a lot of that you guys provided shares just how many opportunities there are right out of high school for students to make money and climb the ladder quickly. So the next question is, what do you love about your career?
As far as my plumbing career, I kind of love a lot of different facets of it. I'm one of those people that love dealing with people. So when I was working in the field, doing a lot of service work, going into different homes, meeting a lot of different people, a lot of different backgrounds. So you hear a lot of good stories, from different people. And then a big part of it is my career has paid for everything that I've had. Being young, I think I had my first house around 19 or 20 when I bought my first home. So the wages that we're making, and I'm sure the other guys will talk about it too, that they're constantly going up. They really don't recess back or anything like that. And the nice part about it, it's not just a livable wage. It's, now you're not, again, reverting back and paying, school loans, and, different stuff like that, because a lot of your education's taken care of. So in the education for me was a big part. I always took advantage of more and more classes, even though I didn't have to. I would take extra classes when they were offered, and it worked out nice and benefited me, quite a bit. So.
Yeah, I would say, the thing I loved about it most, well, I guess it's twofold. When I was in the field, was being in the field, being, with the guys and the women on the job site, the camaraderie that you have with them, changing job sites, being able to go to different places. You're not just stuck in the same place all the time doing the same exact thing. With our trade, it is quite broad as far as what we do with sheet metal, anywhere from, heating and air conditioning for commercial, residential, industrial welding, fabrication of metal, and it goes on and on. But the nice thing is being that diverse with it is you have a lot of options. So if you are, you get into one particular part of the field and you don't necessarily care for it, there's other options for you and other avenues for you to take in it. But yeah, the best part for me was being in the field and being around everybody and just working hand in hand with them and working with tools. And then transitioning into a business agent and the training coordinator, some of the best parts of my day is just being able to help out our members and being able to help with the apprentices with their schooling and just taking care of people, being the guy that they call to answer the questions for them or help them with whatever they need help with at this point.
Yeah, I'd say early in my career, when I very first started, I actually started as a laborer, or you could say a helper. And one of the nice things about that is I got to work with so many different trades that I got to learn a lot of different things. And I was able to take those skills home and apply those, in my home life and do stuff around the house. And so that was pretty cool. And then when I got to be in the field, I had opportunities to travel. And I had never really been outside of, my city. And so going different places, but being paid to go there, and they pay for my hotel, and you get what's called like per diem, which is they give you money to eat. So I got to travel, I got paid a great wage, I got to meet different people. Fast forward to now, what I really love the most is that I get to help other people enjoy the same career field and pathway, and really try to help people access the middle class and have a really good wage, but also do something they love and enjoy that they can do for a lifetime.
It's actually great because I can kind of piggyback off of Brad and what John was saying. So I'll start in the beginning. A big fulfillment for me is being a finishing trade at the end with the painting and stuff like that. I happen to be one of them people that would, be driving through the city and say, hey, I tell my kids like, hey, oh, I painted that, or I did, I worked on that project, Pfizer Forum or what have you like that. So I mean, there's kind of like a sense of fulfillment when you get to see that, because this is actually like tangible results that you can see at the end of your workday, what you've completed. So it might sound a little weird, but once you start installing work and seeing how much you're able to get done, it almost becomes, I don't want to say like a race, but you almost want to continue to improve your skills. And then going over to kind of what John was saying about helping people, I happen to be like the only bilingual person on staff here with the drywall. With the Painters and Drywall Union, and a lot of our drywallers are Hispanics. So I mean, it really works out so that people feel a little bit more accepted into your organization and stuff like that, because they actually have a representative that understands their culture and their language. And so that's a great fulfillment for me, for people that I've had on staff, or that are members that maybe didn't feel like they could approach us. And I mean, that's what the unions were built on, is for kind of like a community deal to help their members and be sure that you're getting a fair shake at everything. So that's a great fulfillment as well. The one thing I did want to touch on is that I know it looks like labor, like, oh, well, you're just going to be a tradesman. And within most of our unions, that's not necessarily the case anymore. A lot of upper management positions are not just coming and being handed out to people who have the college degree of project management or supervisor trainings. They're looking for people who actually did the work, who understand how the processes go so that they can run more efficiently. So just because you start off in a trade doesn't mean that you're always just going to be out there, turning the wrench, so to speak. Like, there are definitely levels of advancement that can happen by experience, or by gaining experience out in the field, and then continuing the education within your organization for management training, and then project management and so forth. Or maybe even opening your own company down the line once you have your skills.
Great, thank you. I love all of your diverse responses to that too, because it really paints the picture of all the benefits of these trades. So the last question is, what advice do you have for our students who are listening today?
I think some of my advice would be is to, looking back now, wish I would have paid a little more attention, especially towards the last couple of years in high school on some of the classes that would have definitely helped me out, not just where I'm at today, but, started going through when I first started school, catching up on some of that math and stuff. The great thing about it was we had, excellent instructors that were able to help us out, if you were falling behind or something like that. But a big thing we see today, and me now in a hiring position, is, we're looking for people that are going to show up, and there's no excuses that they're running late or anything like that. To see someone that's determined that they really want to show that they want to do this. That's the biggest thing right now, is what I would say.
Yeah, I would say, I'm not knocking college. I mean, if college is what you want to do, if there's a certain, business or goal that you have that you want to be, by all means go to college, but that's not the end all be all. The trades are out here. You're going to get paid to go to school. You're going to get paid at work. You're going to come out with no debt. If it is something that you're interested in, depending on which trade it is, go talk to that local, go talk to that training coordinator for that trade and see what it's all about. And if not, I would also refer you to talk with John over at Big Step. And I don't want to steal any of his thunder, but they're great at what they do with being able to place individuals in trades, in apprenticeships. And that's kind of a way to be able to look at all the different trades and see which one may be the right fit for you.
So number one, don't give up on school. Finish high school. Take your education right now seriously, and really do try to focus on your math. The great thing about working in the trades is you're not walking around with a pencil and paper doing fractions all day long. We have calculators and different equipment, but really understanding fractions and how to read a tape measure and things is just going to help you. And then, as Brad said, research, look into the different trades, find out what they each do differently. If you want help, reach out to WRTP Big Step. We're right here at the Racine at the Gateway campus, or you can go to our website. And what we'll do is we'll give you information about each and every trade. What do they do? How much do they pay? What are the pros and the cons, which there's always more pros than cons. And just really make sure to take your time to look at what you like. Are you good with working with your hands? Do you prefer to be outside? Would you rather be in an office? And then look at the different trades, because there's really something for everyone there if you take the time to just do your homework, as they say, or your research. And then don't be shy to reach out to any one of us for help, because that's what we're here for.
Yeah, I would definitely say if you are, lifelong dream or whatever, you are dead set on college and you have something and you have a plan laid out, definitely follow your gut and go with what interests you and stuff like that. But if not, at some point in time, I feel, maybe the trades may or may not be looked at as like a second tier career or something like that, but it has provided huge dividends for me and my family. Like somebody else was saying, I owned a home, my first home, I should say, at 22. I've had numerous newer vehicles and stuff that's afforded me that, take my kids on vacation and stuff like that. So it is really a good atmosphere, I think, overall. And then touching on like the college stuff, the no debt thing is like huge, because I do have family that's right now paying $600, $700, $800 a month just in student loans, and that's not talking about a house, that's not talking about your car, that's right off the bat as soon as you finish school. So when you look at it, there's kids are probably in the UW system coming out with probably around probably $60,000+ in student loan debt coming out of a 4-year degree, versus 4 years into an apprenticeship, you've probably on average made about $160,000. So when you look at that, that's about $250,000. That's about $240,000 swing and you're coming out clean and clear. Your checks that you're making from being a tradesman are all yours. And like I said, you can always pack that up and go anywhere. Working with your hands or doing a trade of any sort, there's a calling anywhere you go. You know, unfortunately, recently, there's in the last, you know, maybe 15 years or so, there's been a huge influx of people that go to school and have their heart set on it, and then they come out and they can't even find a job in what they're doing. Yet that student loan is still waiting for you. So one other thing I wanted to touch on real quick. It's getting bigger and bigger. There is plenty of room for women in any of the trades, pretty much. I mean, if you can do the work, they'll love to have you. And I can honestly say that in my last probably 4 groups of apprenticeship classes, I've had a couple of women in each one of the classes. And I mean, and I'm talking about like girls right out of high school, like 18, 19 years old. And they are by far exceeding some of their male counterparts. So don't be afraid to jump in there and get it done.
Thanks, Ricardo. You read my mind because that was going to be my next follow-up question, is just if there's any specific advice for the females who might be shy about it, but interested in some of these careers. So I don't know if anybody else wanted to touch on beyond what Ricardo mentioned.
Yeah, I'll jump on what Ricardo said, because I mean, the women that we do have in our trade are probably, like you said, are some of the best. You know, they do exceed a lot of their male counterparts in the field and in the shop and in the office. So, you know, if you're interested in it, you know, there's definitely room for you and you can grow.
Thank you. And then we're going to open up to questions. I'm in a theater right now, students. So if anybody in the theater had some questions, feel free to raise your hand, or if any of the other classes listening, feel free to have your teacher type them into the chat at this time if there's any specific questions you would like to ask. Anybody trying to type anything in the chat? If you want to unmute and let us know. I think you guys did a really great job of answering a lot of the questions. Honestly, these were really great responses. So I want to thank you very much for joining us today on behalf of the Case High School students and staff. Thanks for joining us, and hopefully we'll talk again soon. Have a nice day.
Thank you. Thanks for having us.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.